Fires a long one.
Oh,
Nothing but net. Oh, my goodness. Didn't see that coming. I'm diddly dee.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Nat, brought to you by OTS. I'm your host, Natalie, but most people call me Nat. And today I am joined by two of my favorite people to discuss hoops with. So I'm going to start with Chris, who is, if you are on NBA Twitter or Twitter in general, but you follow NBA people, you might be familiar with Chris. He is the man behind the infamous Hoop Spaces on Twitter. You can catch him is it every weekday morning? He'll tell you when to find him. There's offshoots of Hoop Spaces now, but it is some of the best basketball content out there. If you want to stay tapped in around the NBA, to news, different teams, Hoop Spaces is definitely who you want to follow and tap into that content. He's so excellent, so thoughtful, very reasoned. He runs a really great spaces and offers really great basketball content. And I really think that you're going to enjoy my conversation with him today. So I want to welcome Chris to the show and let him tell you a little bit about himself and where you can find him.
Hey, everybody. And Nat, thank you for having me here on the All Nat podcast. My name is Chris, better known as Hoop Spaces. You can find me on Twitter Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. We close sometime between 12 and 1. Really just depends on the conversation of the day. We cover all teams all day, every day, even on the weekends. And for a bonus, we throw in my awesome food takes. Check me out, Hoop Spaces, HOOPSPACES on Twitter. Thank you.
All right, y'all could not see my facial reactions if you're listening on audio. I support many of Chris's food takes, not all, like his French fries ones being trash, but many people do not support his food take. So just please be prepared for that. When you do go into Hoop Spaces, don't hold that against him. Otherwise, the basketball content is everything that I said. And last but not least, I have John. He is one of the hosts of Sunday is for Basketball. He is a very funny person. You'll see some of his content on Twitter. He'll let you know where you can find him. But he has this segment that he does where he breaks down clips from the game in a little funny voice, or I don't want to do it a disservice, John, by the name, but he does a funny clip where he breaks down the game, and it's really hilarious. He's actually breaking down the game and telling you what's happening, but he does it in a funny, animated way that'll make you chuckle. John has a great basketball mind. He knows his stuff. His show, Sunday for Basketball, is actually one of the best produced shows that I've seen. They're super creative. The content is great. You should check it out. Go follow them. They're available on YouTube. John is going to tell you more about them. But John, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Nat, so much. Love that introduction. That was awesome. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for having me on the show, on the All Nat podcast. I'm super excited for this. I've been waiting for this. So I'm really happy. And I want to thank you for that. Yeah, guys, if you see me on Twitter, I have my personal account, which is that dude, John. Nat will post that for you guys. But we do also have the Sunday is for Basketball Twitter, Instagram, and we're on YouTube. So a little bit about the goofy commentary that I do. So whoever's going off that night, I might do 2 or 3 videos that night. Whoever went off for at least 30 points or maybe a triple double, I'll kind of do some funny background commentary while we're looking at their highlights. And I also do some film breakdowns as well. So I'll do some offensive breakdowns, defensive breakdowns, and we'll kind of draw out the play for you guys, people who are trying to learn basketball and people who just enjoy and know basketball as well and just kind of want to see it in slow motion. So do that as well. So thank you again, Nat, for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And I think you're great at it. I think it's a art for people to know how to break down basketball in that way. I'm someone, I watch it and I generally understand what I'm watching on the court, but I can't always break it down in that way that you do. So I think that's an amazing talent to have. And I love, watching your content. So I learned from it. So thank you for teaching me. Thank you both for teaching me, because it makes me a smarter basketball mind. So, all right, let's dig in. You're here today to chat some Sixers with me. Golden State is going to be playing them this week. I believe that game is Tuesday. And so I have a lot of questions about the Sixers, because you guys have been a team. Both of you are fans of the 76ers. Your team has been in the news like all summer, and that starts with Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons, to me, is a name that, a lot of people have really strong takes on him in either direction. But you both kind of know my views on Ben Simmons already. Maybe we'll touch on that. But Warriors fans in general, his name was floated around a lot with our team, because there were a number of Warriors fans before the season started. I think a little less so now, because the Warriors are off to such a hot start, but we were one of many teams that he was linked to a lot, and people were like pushing to come to and thought it would be a good trade. And so what is the current status? And I'm going to ask both of you, I don't care who goes first, but what is the current status of Ben Simmons right now? John?
Yes, I'll go first. Right now, the current status is in the reports, and what we've heard from Ben's camp is that originally he was going to go get some help with his mental status. He said he had some mental health issues, and he was going to go get some help. The Sixers were actually trying to inquire about the help and actually help him get it. And at first, they said he was unresponsive to that, right? So now it's a case where they're trying to inquire about where he's going, if he can give us some names or facilities or things that he's doing to get better. And it seems like there's a huge miscommunication. So the big thing about this is Daryl Morey, he was on a local radio station out here at 97.5, and he said, you guys might think I'm joking, but this could be a 4-year process here. We're not going to just give Ben up for, pieces that, we want a difference maker if we get rid of Ben. We don't want to just, get some role players and a couple picks here. We're ready. We built a team that with the right pieces in place, now we can go for a championship. So he's ready to make this thing go for the next 4 years. I'm a little nervous about that, because obviously not having Ben on the floor is not helping us. Without Ben, we're a worse team without Ben on the floor, in my opinion, without having any pieces to replace him. So I'm hoping, we can get this situation handled. And obviously, with Ben's situation, his mental health, I'm hoping that, he definitely gets the help he needs. If he's going through these issues, I want him to get better as well. Obviously that's a personal matter, but it's a lot. Honestly, from the Philly side of things, there's a lot of confusion right now. I'm not 100% sure what is going on with Ben and the Sixers as well. There's been a lot of, he say, she say type things going on. So, that's where I'm at with Ben now, as far as, what his situation is with the Sixers.
Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I on Friday on my show, it's the first time that I actually talked about the Ben Simmons situation since the tip-off of the season. He's not going anywhere, right? They aren't going to trade him until at least the offseason. If they haven't gotten the deal now, the likelihood of them trading at the trade deadline is just non-existent, right? And the reason why is the players that would be available are going to be on teams who are fighting for the playoffs, and they're not going to give them up, right? Like C.J. McCollum is not coming to Philly, right? Tyrese Halliburton and Harrison Barnes aren't coming to Philly. Jeremy Grant, we don't want him back. Like hey, good job, way to be better, but you're good in Detroit. Stay there. Daryl Morey is just flexing power right now, and that's really what it comes down to. He is flexing power in a position to set up the 76ers really to take advantage of the collective bargaining agreement. There are talks outside of the world of basketball that focus on the business aspects of it, and they have no problem eating this money. They will sit him the entire 4 years if Morey has his way. And that's where, as John is alluding to, there's some confusion, because then you have people like Elton Brand, you have people like Kyle Neubeck, who puts out pieces talking to some of the GMs and scouts, and like Elton Brand is ready to move on, but Elton Brand can't move on because Daryl Morey's like, nah, we are going to get 4 first-round picks, so we're going to get an all-star. And I actually admire that. I totally get it. I love it, except for one thing. They started the problem in the first place, right? Like, if you go back to the beginning of the process, this is just an edification of having a spoiled kid, throwing a temper tantrum. And when you allow that to develop over the course of, your 4 years, and it's the only way you know how to be a pro, what were you expecting, right? And then you hire a coach in Doc Rivers, who is a player's coach, who is frustrated because as a player's coach, he can't connect to Ben Simmons. He's connected to everybody else on that team, except for Ben Simmons. And it's because Doc is asking him to do something, very simple that Ben just doesn't want to do. And when you look at it in that way, you just feel like you're watching as the world turns, right? And you want to get sucked in, you want resolution, but here's the honest truth. There is none, and there won't be any, right? Like, we couldn't get Tyrese Halliburton. Think about that. Like, he's a good rookie. He's, a good second-year player on a good rookie contract, but he's not Ben Simmons. And it shows that the league itself is also tired of this drama, right? They're not taking calls. They're not calling. Like, I don't even think the Sixers can make a deal outside of Ben Simmons now because of this entire, debacle. So to every Sixers fan listening, like, take a deep breath, get some water, and chill, because he's going to be here for a minute, and it's okay.
Do you guys think he's ever going to step foot on the floor again as a 76er?
No. Yeah, I personally don't. And here's the thing. Last year, I'm a Ben Simmons fan. I know this is going to shock a lot of people right now. The narrative around Ben Simmons is like, oh my God, like it's just out of control at this point because of that Hawks series. And I get it. Like, that was very, for me, embarrassing because I defended Ben all season, even on my show, up until this whole, I'm not coming to camp thing. But I personally think on the floor, Ben Simmons brings so much to the Sixers. He's a great defender. Even if you remember in that game 7 against the Hawks, I think Trey went maybe like 7 for 23. He was on Trey and really made it difficult for Trey the entire game. And, we blew a couple 20-point leads. And for me, I was like, okay, I can't blame Ben Simmons for this entire series. We had turnovers late in the game. Matisse Thybulle hit Herter in the head on a 3-pointer with like 50 seconds left. There was so many things that happened throughout that game where I was like, it's a shame that, that donkey passed up on, which was very, it was microscopic. Of course, people were really in on that. But I think Ben Simmons creates for us. He's a great defender. And, when he's aggressive, which I wish he was more aggressive, I'm not going to lie. When he's aggressive, it does help us. It helps us with scoring. And I don't know. I like Ben Simmons as a player. There's been rumors about his attitude since the dawn of him being a rookie. I think there was JJ Redick said, I'm not going to mention any names, but there was a certain player that didn't come to dinner with us. And when he had the rookie, when they were going to the hotels and doing their showcases, things like that, there was a guy that the people were saying wasn't talking as a rookie. And they're alluding to Ben Simmons. We all know what's going on here. They didn't say his name, but so I can see why chemistry with Ben might be harder. But on the floor, I like him as a player. I really do. But to answer your question again, that I don't think he's going to play for the Sixers again, unfortunately, in my eyes.
So how important is it, right, to like have chemistry on and off the court, right? Like, it's not the first time NBA players haven't gotten along. But ultimately, I feel like when they don't get along off the court, it often leads to the demise of the team. So, like, when there are people who have hesitance in wanting Ben Simmons on their team, I am one of them, right? It's not because I don't think he's talented. It's because I don't think he's a team guy. I think he's a Ben first guy. And so I feel like his divaness, for lack of a better word, will often at some point rear its ugly head, no matter the situation. And I feel like that's a pattern that we've seen that doesn't just exist like right now from the 76ers. I feel like it's something that has followed him from college. And so I guess that's my question. I think some of that is at play. Like, I do think people are trying to like rip off the Sixers. I do think they're like, you guys are vulnerable, and so we're not going to give up anything. And so I am supportive of Morey's position. People think Morey's asking too much. I think he's doing his job, and I think that he would actually take a reasonable deal. I think he will take value. He wants value back for a player that he knows offers value. And I don't think he's going to take anything that doesn't offer value. But when people are like, oh, he wants too much and he's being crazy, I'm like, have you guys seen some of the actual offers for Ben Simmons? They're not like good offers. And so that's how I feel about that. But I do think some of the hesitation is also that there are real concerns about like this guy. And you know, like aside from like the diva stuff, I have real concerns about, I think some of his on-court issues around like the shooting and the fouls and the free throws, I think that there's mental issues. And when I say mental, I don't, because I'm not a medical professional, and I don't like to use that, throw that around casually. What I mean by that is like a block. I think, you know, like when he didn't take that dunk, I thought that was like, he didn't want to get fouled because he didn't want to go to the free throw line, right? That's my assessment. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I think. And so when that's like, to me, that's not like a physical talented aspect. That's a mental block. How do you overcome for that? Like, how do you correct that? Is that something that's going to be fixed? So I'm sorry, I just threw a lot out there. Well, I'll let you guys respond to that.
I actually don't think it's a mental block. This is going to take a second, right? In Australia, he was the man, right? From 13, 14, he could do no wrong. He walked on water. And when you look at videos of him and other prospects, like, he wasn't even with them. Like, this is who he is. And the Sixers understood that. What the issue is the disrespect to the culture, right? In the locker room, you do this because it's buying into the culture. And that right there is the fabric of why the Golden State Warriors are good, why the Toronto Raptors are good, why the Miami Heat are good. It's a culture of accountability. It's a culture of I got your back. And he's just never been that guy. Right? There's no need to argue. There's no need to say, oh, well, he could mature. Everybody's going to grow and mature. But this is a young man who went to LSU and said, why am I going to class? Like, I'm going to be the first pick. I don't want to be here. You're making me be here, right? Like, and even the selection of LSU was absolutely, par for the course if you understand LSU's history of recruiting violations, right? And then he gets to the league, and this is actually where the first problem happened. It was that dinner, right? The moment he didn't do the rookie stuff in the dinner, like, every single vet had an issue with him. And what ended up happening is they all kind of flocked to Embiid because Embiid was all about it. Like, he was doing everything because he understood the position he was in, not playing after being drafted. And then the one thing that I think isn't really spoken about in regards to the chemistry issue is, when you go back a couple of years when Embiid says, I really believe I'm the culmination of the process. I'm the culmination of everything. That's really when that schism started. So this was going to happen eventually. But in terms of overall team performance, the Bulls did not like each other. The Pistons did not like each other. They did fine. You know what I mean? Like, they were that dominant. And Ben can be that dominant if he does check into the game. And to that effect, it's also the style. He just doesn't like the style. He doesn't like playing with Embiid because it closes the court. He wants to get out and run, right? He wants to do what LeBron is doing, right? Control the game, run, make flashy passes, and dunk. That's it, and that's cool. I would love for him to develop a shot. I've seen him take, 3-pointers in practice. He's made 30 for 30. I've seen him make free throws, but in real game action.
I believe that, Chris, because I've heard that. But
Yeah.
he doesn't do it on the court. And specifically in that final series, I mean, he was shying away from taking shots and trying to get fouled. What do you think is the reason for that?
I think it was because he didn't see how he could be effective, right? He's fighting the system instead of just playing within the system. And he's always done that. I think, John, you've seen enough film of Ben Simmons. He just does what he wants to do within the framework of the offense. And that's just counterintuitive to everything Doc wants. You have to earn that with Doc, right? Like even Chris Paul didn't do that until he earned it with Doc. And Ben is just over here like, oh, you want to run, this double horn? I don't. Let me go ahead and go over here and pass it to Tobias Harris. And you just, as a fan, you sit there and you watch and you're like, okay. But he'll be fine. He just won't play in Philly anymore. I just don't see it happen.
But who is the team? What team is out there that's going to cater to him in that way, I guess? And what I mean by that is because even when people talked about him, for example, coming to Golden State, they weren't taking the ball out of Dre's hands to put it in Ben Simmons' hands, right? Like people were just talking about him being in the dunker spot, not coming to the team to be Magic Johnson. So that's why I thought it was funny that it was being reported that that's one of the teams he wanted to go to. And they want a team that fits his, he's not coming there to take over and be Magic, which is I know that was his favorite player and that's what he wants to be. But I guess what I'm saying is there some disillusionment about what he's going to be on another team? It's certainly not the Warriors. Maybe it's another team, but it's not the Warriors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the answer to that, I think personally, and this is what actually one of the latest rumors on Ben Simmons trades was the Celtics with it was Jaylen Brown has to be involved. Now, I've spoken to some Sixers fans. For whatever reason, they're not in on getting Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown's a solid player. He's not my favorite player on the Celtics. I really like Jason Tatum. Obviously, we're not going to get Jason Tatum, but I'll take Jaylen Brown, right? He's averaging about 25 this year. He's a solid defender. So we're not losing as much as we think on defense getting Jaylen Brown. And also we're getting someone who can score, and then we can have, Tyreese. He's really coming into his own now, being able to get more minutes and having a bigger role in the offense. So he can run some point. We'll get Jaylen Brown. So I think right now, if there's any way that we make a trade happen, that seems like the most realistic to me, because I think the Celtics, in my opinion, have a CJ McCollum Dame issue right now where they have two very similar style players. And it's they're probably not going to win with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. It just really doesn't help for a fluid offense for them. They don't know who's going to be the guy that night. Now, we've talked about this on Twitter about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That I think it was the game against the Knicks where they went to overtime. And Jaylen Brown was on fire that game. And
they went Jason to Tatum to close.
Jason Tatum was taking shots at the end of the game, and everyone's like, all right, it's not your night. And it's they don't have that down, and I don't think they're going to get that down because both of those players are young, and they're like, listen, I'm developing. And, and Jaylen Brown already got paid. So I think it actually works for both teams. I think that the Celtics would be suited with a true point guard like a Ben Simmons. I think he's a true point guard. He can play defense. He's not going to be selfish. He's going to let Jason Tatum do what he needs to do. If it's Jason Tatum's night, that'll be no problem for Ben. Ben doesn't really want to shoot like that anyway. He'll get his assists, he'll play defense, he'll rebound. And I think the Sixers getting Jaylen Brown, that works for us because we need a scorer and he can play defense and he won't get in Embiid's way. So That's what I personally think at this point seems like the most realistic option. Hopefully that works out. I'm not sure if it actually will, but when I heard the rumors and the reports, I was excited about that. I was like, that could work out.
I like that trade idea too. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. Were you gonna say something?
I was going to agree with the Jaylen Brown, and part of the issue that we haven't spoken about in terms of just the greater basketball world is the development of Tyreese Maxi.
Yes.
Like, if he continues to develop like he did 28-9 last night, if he continues to develop, that literally cuts out 10 players that could be traded. Like, no D'Angelo, no CJ, no De'Aaron Fox. All these guys are off the table now if Tyreese Maxi develops. And then you're going to end up being stuck. And if you're going to be stuck, it's better to be stuck with a dude who can help. Jaylen Brown can help. I don't like the trade, but I'm a realist. He can help. If Tyreese Maxi is what he is, you put Jaylen on that team. You're also saving $7 million in cap. You go out and shore up, get a better shooter and defender than Danny Green, and I'm happy, right? And I like that. I like that deal for that.
What don't you like about the trade? Yeah, what don't you like about Jaylen?
He doesn't do a good job for me in the type of offense that I want to run as a secondary facilitator, right? So you put him on the Sixers, and now you have Tyreese and you have Jaylen. Like, you're really now asking Tobias Harris to be a secondary facilitator. And, like, he can get 3.5, 4 dimes, but, like, they're not really pretty. They're just really more dump offs. And I think you're going to have a congested offense because the ball movement won't really look good in the half court. So come playoff time when we're playing Milwaukee, Miami, or Brooklyn, we'll get slotted because they'll just do what they're going to do in terms of packing the paint and pushing Jaylen Brown on his spots that he doesn't want to shoot from.
Okay, remember that thought because I want to come back to that, but I just wanted to follow up on something you guys said earlier, or I think it was John. So Isaiah Thomas, legend, old school Isaiah Thomas, he made some comments about Ben Simmons, but he was basically saying that, like, he doesn't need to learn how to, like, shoot. He just needs to develop, like, shoot free throws better, which I tend to agree with. But the idea of him being a true point guard, right? Because there are some people who disagree with that. They're like, he's playing the wrong position. He's not a point guard. He's a power forward. Wherever you land on that spectrum, if he actually is a true point guard, whatever that means in today's NBA, or I guess that's really my question. In today's NBA, can you be a true point guard? I'm using air quotes for anyone who's just listening on audio without the ability to shoot. I don't think that you have to be able to shoot to still be an impactful player in today's NBA, but can you really be a point guard in today's NBA without a reliable shot?
Ricky Rubio.
Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Ricky Rubio. I would say
is that his ceiling, Ricky Rubio?
Yeah, I would say it depends on how the roster's constructed. Okay, so and that was a good answer, Ricky Rubio. But I would say it depends on how your roster's constructed. Now, my biggest thing with the Sixers has been we haven't drafted well. We haven't drafted well in a good while. Like there's draft picks that during the process that are not here. And we got guys like you got Nerlens Noel, you got Okafor, you got Markelle Fultz. Nobody, I don't understand how this happens. I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate about this particular subject.
You are.
Markelle Fultz is not here. Like, he was the first overall pick, and this guy, we don't even know what happened. There's so many, we don't even know the facts about that situation. The guy is going, that was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to go get buckets. That was supposed to be the guy who was like, you can let Ben run point guard because Markelle Fultz can go get buckets. We were so excited. We were like, okay, now we have a guy who can complement Ben. So I think to answer your question, you can be a true point guard without shooting. And I say shoot when I say shooting right now, I'm referring to shooting 3-pointers or long twos. You can do that if you have a roster that's constructed with some people who can go get some buckets here.
Does he have a mid-range?
I would like that. I would.
No, I'm asking. Yeah, does Ben even have a mid range?
Does Ben? I mean, he showed that he can hit some turnarounds. I mean, he doesn't do it often, but he has shown that. And I think he has like his little baby hook that he does. When he's aggressive, he gets little floaters, like, but he hasn't shown a consistent mid-range shot, no. But what I'm trying to say is I believe if we hit on our draft picks and we had a roster with players who can go score, who can isolate on their own and go get a bucket. I mean, outside of Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid's a center. I think that Ben can be a true point guard on a team like that. And unfortunately, the Sixers have not built a roster, in my opinion, that can go get a championship with Ben Simmons. And that's an issue because you went out of your way you could have gotten Brandon Ingram, and I thought that would have been a solid pick. But you got Ben Simmons for a reason. You knew what type of player he was, and you knew what type of roster you had to construct around this guy, and you failed. You didn't do it. So I think Ben can be a true point guard, and it can work on a team that has a roster that's built to win. And I don't think the Sixers built a roster around Ben that can win with Ben.
Okay.
I'm with you on that 100%.
Okay, all right.
You forgot Michael Carter Williams in that draft.
Yeah, Michael Carter Williams. I mean, like, there's so many. You forget sometimes.
I don't like to.
MCW at 11, then Embiid and Peyton, then Jahlil Okafor, Willie Hernan-Gomez, Marquez Fultz. We should have drafted Tatum. Mikal Bridges, Landry Shamet.
Okay, but some of these feel very hindsight, like, is what we're doing now. I don't like to tell fans of teams because I know Warriors fans critique a lot of our draft picks, and we kind of get annoyed when people are like, the Warriors draft well, because I think that's a little overstated. But I'm never going to question the fans of teams because your team is more in and out, and people who cover the teams. Just like I don't like when people tell me stuff about the Warriors when I know you don't follow the Warriors in and out like me. But some of those picks were consensus picks at the time. And so, like, Markelle Fultz was a consensus pick. Like, I don't think that was a crazy pick at the time based on the information available. So are you saying that there was information available that they should have known not to pick him? Because, John, what you're saying, the reason he was picked, he was supposed to be that guy. He was. The fact that he didn't turn into that guy, though, I don't think that can be blamed on the Sixers unless you're saying like they didn't develop him properly or they missed something that they should have not have missed. And maybe that's what I'm not understanding.
So what's going on is, as Chris was just going over all of the players that we missed on. So it's not like I'm just pinpointing just the Markelle Fultz draft and I'm like, oh, if we didn't miss on Markelle, we've been missing for 5, 6, 7 years. Like, this has been going on consistently. Now, what hurts about Markelle Fultz draft is that we traded up to get him with the Celtics, and the Celtics got Jason Tatum. So that just kind of adds some fuel to the fire. Particularly, man, and I understand, like, there's a narrative around Fultz at the time that, like you're saying, a lot of people wanted him. It was a consensus pick. I don't have any eyewitnesses here right now, but I wasn't sold on Markelle Fultz.
I believe you. I don't think you're lying.
I was not sold. I was good where we were at. And what I usually do, because I'm not a huge college basketball fan, what I'll usually do is I'll kind of look at like the mock drafts and see who the top players are. And I'll kind of like watch their highlights or maybe watch a game or two from, their college games and just kind of see like what would work. I was okay being in the third spot that year. I didn't think Fultz was somebody who was like worth trading up for. There's certain first overall picks. It's like, oh, we got to go get this guy. I didn't think Fultz was that guy. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. I understood why they did it. I didn't agree with it. But, obviously, like you said, it's hindsight. It didn't work out. But for me, it's been so consistent. Like, it's Embiid and Ben. And then after that, it's like you had a whole process. Trust the process. You had years of trying to get at least maybe 3 solid draft picks. And, you end up with Ben and Embiid, and I love Embiid. You know how much I love Embiid, but obviously Ben's not working out. So it's, that's how I feel. It sucks, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't
of
want
all
to
those.
I didn't want to trade up either. I wanted to stay at 3, and if Tatum wasn't there, I wanted to get Jonathan Simmons. I really wanted Jonathan Simmons on the Sixers. That would have been killer. Ben Simmons, Jonathan Simmons, and Embiid 3 to 5. That would have been killer.
So of all those guys you named, because I think you got a generational talent in Embiid, right? I mean, his ability to stay healthy, right, is always a cause for concern. But most people don't get generational talents like when they pick. So I guess that's the way I look at it, is like the trade-off. Like most teams don't get a player like that. And you got a player like Ben Simmons, who people would probably also argue could be a generational talent, right? And I think like Markelle Fultz and a player like Okafor, who didn't pan out, but also was a highly touted pick. So like for those two guys in particular, not all the others, those were picks that I thought were justified. And so I feel like you guys do a similar thing. The process was a whole other thing. And I'm not saying that like there are not some more egregious things that the Sixers did. What I'm saying though is I kind of feel like it's like what Warriors fans do. Like when we start to point out like, no, here's why some of the stuff was flawed, right? I think there's like somewhere in the middle, I guess is what I'm saying. Because I don't think that all those picks were just bad. But when some of them don't pan out, it's like, I understand the frustration that it causes in you, but I also think some of them can be justified and they just didn't pan out. And you guys still got two elite talents. The problem is they don't necessarily work that well together, right? So at least that's my observation as an outsider looking in.
I think you would be right, but I also think during that draft, specifically for Fultz, it was 2 ball dominant guards, and you had to choose one. And when they drafted Fultz, to me, that was them hedging on Ben, and they didn't want Ben. The issue that I have is thoracic outlet syndrome, right? I've had it because I've been injured where I have it permanently now. So it comes back. You have to continually do physical
That's what
therapy.
Markelle has?
Yeah, yes. That's
what is it called again?
Thoracic outlet syndrome.
And what is it? Can you explain it to us?
You have a bend somewhere where you're not getting certain circulation or nerve reception into your shoulder, and it'll spread down into your hand. And like when you saw him do that double motions, because like it's kind of like shooting with a dead hand, so you couldn't feel it, right? And it's really sometimes even painful just to get your arm up the shoulder plane. So when you're seeing him do it, like you can see the pain and hesitation in his body. And he actually injured that, prior to the draft workouts. Like people understood that it was going to be a potential issue. They just didn't know the severity. Other people have had it and have come back from it, like Rich Ankiel for the Cardinals. He just couldn't pitch anymore. They moved him to the outfield. There's other basketball players who've had it like a mild case, but it's a degenerative chronic condition. And that right there, like, was red flags. And this came out literally 3 to 4 days before the draft, right? And then that's when, like, they really went hard on this Fultz narrative on TV and started showing the highlights. And they're saying, well, he'll work himself back and you're going to have this guy. And then, like, you have Sixers fans who are locked in and we're like, why are you drafting him? We already have Ben. Like, I get it that you want him to get buckets, but you know who else is going to get buckets? Jason Tatum's going to get buckets. This guy's going to get buckets. And then it was the trade.
And that information was available before the draft? Because I don't, was that to the public? Because I don't remember that coming out until much later.
No, that was all the scouts. Like, talk to the scouts. The scouts, like, 7 out of 10 of them knew that there was some, issues, because they were even reporting that that's why he canceled some of his workouts, is that he didn't want the tape. Right. But then again, that's also at that point, everybody had already figured out who they were picking, and all the deals were already done, and no one was going to walk it back. And then, like, that is part of how basketball works. We're not the only team who had to go through this. Like the Mavs went through it. The Knicks went through it with KP, Kristaps Porzingis as well. And as a fan base, like, we have to be objective. yes, Markelle Fultz was a consensus choice, but it really was a consensus choice of the top three. It wasn't he was head over heels above
Right.
everybody else.
Agreed.
It was he was of the three, because everybody was saying they should have picked Lonzo too, and I'm sitting here like, why? But
I don't know why Lonzo moved up to top two. He's a great player, but I feel like kudos to his father. I thought his father did a great job in getting him to be a second pick. I don't think he was ever supposed to be a number two pick. No disrespect to Lonzo. I know that doesn't sound like it when I make that statement, because he is a great ball player. I don't think he should have been a number two pick. I didn't think that in the moment either. So this isn't hindsight. I said this then.
So
I like Lonzo a lot.
I thought he was fine at two. I thought he was fine at two. I thought he was going to struggle at first, but he would develop into kind of what he is now, except maybe 3 more points per game. So like 18, 7, and 7, kind of like DeJounte Murray.
That Fox was in that pick, in that draft, right? Is that the right draft?
He was 5th. Yeah, he was 5th.
And who was 4?
I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember who it was 4.
Yeah, because I'm a huge Fox fan, right? So I'm like upset that he's like withering away on the Kings, and I would like him on another team. And yeah, anyway, that's another story. Okay.
Yeah, I would love it. Sorry. Yeah, Fox was 5th. I don't even see who was 4th. I'm not.
All good. Okay.
Josh Jackson was 4th out of Kansas.
I remember him. Okay.
Right.
So, all right. No, this is great. You guys provided a lot of insight, and I think that's helpful, because you shared some information I certainly didn't know. Obviously, listeners of my show, many of them follow me on Twitter, but you both do too, and you both know my views on Ben Simmons. I think he's a talented player. I don't want him anywhere near the Warriors. And
I don't blame you.
I think he's sort of spoiled. The whole handling though of like the mental health and like the way this is going down, because people kind of come down on both ends. Some people think the Sixers shouldn't be getting involved in his like mental health situation. Some people think maybe he's, I don't know, faking it or something and just gaming the system. I don't really know, and I don't like to speculate on one's mental health. I think it's I think it's very plausible that he could be having a lot of anxiety around returning. Like, Philadelphia is not an easy fan base. Like, you're not going to come out there and get cheers. You're going to be booed incessantly. Like, yes. I can't imagine that would cause me anxiety. So I'm not going to just dismiss that he might be dealing with any kind of mental health concerns. But I do think as an employer, you have a right to try to understand, well, what does this mean? Like, how soon do you think you're coming back? How treatment, right? And that kind of stuff, like without getting to the underlying diagnoses or private information, I do think there is a level of information that should be shared with the organization. So, this saga continues. Chris, you said earlier you don't think he's going to be traded this year, and you don't think there's anything though in the season that could affect that, like a team is struggling or they're striking out or they're just like, I don't know, there's like some picks they can give up and Ben Simmons will help, make them a more quality team. You don't think there's anything that could change that dynamic during the course of the season?
Unfortunately, no. And it goes back to what I said. And I think John, who's watching the games as I am, understands this. Tyreese Maxi's development, it's literally going to keep Ben Simmons off of 10 to 12 teams. The only trade that I see happening is in New Orleans. And I just don't see it happening. They would have to be Zion sitting out for the year. It would have to be David Griffin willing to set that city on fire, because it would be Ben Simmons for Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart, and you would work around draft capital, and that's
why
Philly's
why
out.
Couldn't it be a 1-for-1? Why can't it be Brandon Ingram, Ben Simmons? Why Josh Hart too?
They Morey has to win. This is just a personality thing. Like, this is a call from me based on Morey's past, right? He's like Danny Ainge. It's not gonna be a 1-for-1. If he's not gonna get a draft pick, He's going to say Ben Simmons is better. You need to give me this, and I'll give you Ben Simmons and
Is
Isaiah
he better
Joe.
than?
Well, I think he, yeah.
Okay.
Rebounding rate, assist rate, defense. You know, the only thing he does better is score, and it's only 10 points more per game. So if Ben did 5 more layups or dunks, like there you go. Like you're getting the same production and points.
If he did.
Yeah.
These are theories though. Okay.
But I just don't see it unless an injury were to happen. If the injury were to happen, of course, you know that's always the game changer. But without an injury, I just don't see any other team making any moves because the teams that could are in a bad way. Portland's in a bad way with Neil O'Shea. Sacramento is in a bad way with Viva Grandize. Like they just are in a bad way, and that's it. Like we're not sending him to Orlando. I think we've done like 8 trades with Orlando in the last 5 years. You know, They don't have anybody. So there you go.
Okay. So you guys, I started this by saying you guys have been in the news. You had the Ben Simmons stuff, but then you guys were dealing with like, I don't know why your team constantly, like you guys are dealing with COVID. It was last year. It's now this year again. When we faced off on Tuesday, by we, I mean the Golden State Warriors and Wednesday, sorry, thank you.
Oh, Wednesday, okay.
When we face off on Wednesday, the Golden State Warriors and the Sixers, will the team be back whole by that game? Or will anybody be back?
Okay, so I don't think I didn't hear a report about Embiid coming back for the Warriors. I don't know if
I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'm assuming he's not playing. Because I think we probably would have heard something at this point.
How many
maybe
days
that he's
has
on.
it been?
Gosh,
I know we played 7 games without him at this point.
I was gonna say it's been 10 days, 10 to 12.
Do you guys know if he's had like not just caught COVID, but is he having like symptoms and?
Doc said that the symptoms when it first was reported, when it was actually him and Tobias out at the same time, he said that both of them were struggling with symptoms. I think Tobias actually was out before Embiid though.
Right.
So that's why now obviously we see Tobias back now. But yeah, Doc was saying that Embiid had some symptoms that, you know, he was dealing with. He wouldn't like clearly give the severity, but he said that he was struggling with some symptoms. So I'm assuming Embiid's going to be out. Now, I believe we're 1-6 right now with Embiid out. So as far as the team, there's a couple things that, you know, I really dislike about the team. There's some things I like even with Embiid out. One of the things I absolutely hate about this team is Danny Green. Danny Green has been playing. He's been shooting horribly. He's always in foul trouble. Doc Rivers, for some odd reason, is just like dead set on keeping Danny Green in this rotation, making him a starter. It's so frustrating. Now, Tyreese Maxi, I am really big on Tyreese Maxi. I believe he's a future All-Star. I was saying this last year. I saw him in preseason last year, and I was like, this guy has some skills. If he's serious about basketball and he develops, he will be a future All-Star. I like this guy. The only issue I have with Maxi, and I know right now people are like, what? You have an issue with Maxi? The only issue is that I wish he was a little more aggressive earlier in the game. I see, like, when we're late in the game, like when I watch the Sixers, Maxi will get super aggressive. He'll drive. He gets and ones. He'll start shooting some threes in the fourth quarter, and I love that. I love that he's willing to go get it, especially in crunch time. But I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe if Doc can get him more involved in the offense and call some plays for him to get some shots up earlier. I like that. But obviously he's scoring. You know, he had a couple 30-point games. He's a good player. He's really is. And listen, I'm not blaming him at all. I'm just saying that because I think he's good enough that we can make him a bigger part of the system even earlier in the games. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying it's his fault. I would just like to see that more. With that being said, I know we have the Warriors coming up on Wednesday. I want to clear something up for everyone that follows me. I'm not a Warriors fan, people, okay?
He is a Steph Curry fan,
My
though.
favorite player is Steph Curry. I retweet this guy all the time. People are so confused, like, thought you were a Sixers fan. I'm a Sixers fan. I love the Steph Curry. And the only time I would, go against Steph Curry is when they play the Sixers. So unfortunately, Wednesday I got to go against them. Now, if I'm being objective, the Warriors are a way better team right now, especially without Embiid. If I had to choose, I'm probably going to go ahead and say the Warriors are probably going to win. I hope they lose. I want the Sixers to win, but I think that the Warriors are a better team. And without Embiid, it's going to be kind of rough for us. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you guys were looking good before Embiid and Tobias went down, and I think it was surprising people how well the team. And that's not to say that Ben doesn't make the team play better, because we've seen this when a team is winning and a player's not on the court. People are like, but I do think people expected the Sixers to look a lot worse without him, and you guys were looking good, and then all this COVID stuff happened. So I think this is a situation where, like, if you had Ben Simmons, he would have helped, right? You probably wouldn't have gone 1-6 if he was on the court.
I think with Embiid, I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just going to just go off of what you just said. I think we could have potentially been 13-4, with Embiid still playing, just based on how the season has been progressing early. But that's just a quick thought based on what you were just saying. That's all.
So, Chris, I mean, what do you think? Is it helping now that Tobias is back?
Yeah, I mean, it's helping. I think the biggest problem with Embiid out is Andre Drummond. It changes the team dynamic to the point where they have to play more Pau Gasol type basketball, right? Like, if you remember Pau Gasol, we need Tobias Harris to be Pau Gasol, right? That's the only way this works with Andre Drummond in place of Joel Embiid. So it makes it better that way, but unfortunately, I just think it's like a false illusion. Like, it's a mirage. And I love Tobias. He is an underrated player. But if you're going to go and say, hey, this guy's going to make the difference or we're going to be good, then I think we have to go ahead and sit down and just, look at our phones, twiddle our thumbs, and just hope that Embiid is really just being fit to rest and that he's not really experiencing long haulers or severe symptoms. Because Tobias Harris isn't enough. It's not gonna get it done. We saw it last night. Him and Tyreese went off. It doesn't matter. For me, John being really high on Tyreese Maxi, I'm high on the T side. The man should be getting 36 minutes a game. I don't care if he goes 1 for 15. He shouldn't even walk away from Steph Curry. Like, literally, it should just be that 6'7", 7'2" wingspan guy doing nothing but cardio all night, and that's the only way that the Sixers, I think, would have a chance to win. Because if you can dog Curry out and make him tired, right, and you force Curry to have a bad game, you have a chance, because the Sixers can still pound the glass and kill y'all in the middle. But it only works if Tobias Harris is more mid-range instead of sitting out there at a corner three.
Well, as you know, our friend Gravity, Eric, how many of you may know him, will tell you that Stephen Curry can never have a bad game. So,
oh man,
yeah,
I wouldn't say that. I love Steph though, man. He's my guy.
I too get claimed to be a Warriors fan, and I'm not. I don't understand how people think I'm a Warriors fan. Like, I watch,
pain, bro.
Yeah, I see it as like literally a never-ending physics problem when I watch Golden State. Like, that's how captivating it is to me. And it's beautiful basketball. It reminds me of Run TMC. It reminds me of 7 Seconds or Less. It reminds me of that really, really underrated Dallas Maverick offense in 2011, where everybody's just having fun. And if you can't like that, then personally, you have an issue. Like, seriously.
Golden State, I have NBA League Pass literally for Golden State. Like, I I watched the other games too, but I'm like, I'm not missing Golden State, man. I'm not missing Steph. This guy can go off for 40, 45 points at any moment. This guy's shooting threes and 35 feet out. And he's just must-see TV for me. But yeah, like you were saying, Chris, as far as breaking down this game coming up, I think we have a serious issue with Drummond on the floor with our drag sets. Like with Tyreese and Drummond, it's like Drummond's not really a threat unless like he's getting a lob or he's getting a rebound put back, and it kind of hurts us with not having Embiid back. But yeah, we'll see. Like you said, Matisse, he's a great defender. Some of his I question some of his offensive abilities and his decisions on the court offensively, but I think defensively, he definitely deserves minutes just because he is a great defender. So I gotta agree. I would like to see him play. I would like to see him start and play some hefty minutes against the Warriors. I think schematically that does make a lot of sense. So
I love the idea of him chasing Curry around all night.
Oh,
Go ahead, do that.
Look. He's 6'7", a 7'2" wingspan. The guy is an elite defender. He's not even averaging 30 minutes. He's got like 2 blocks and 2 steals a game. Put him on Curry. Just only
that's
2.
That's nice. We'll see how that works. Curry's Curry. We gotta try something, Nat. Come on.
Yeah.
No, and I know that, but it's funny to me because I don't want to like switch gears and go to another team, but it's kind of like when people talk about the Bucks and like, there's still people who feel like the Bucks fully healthy. And this is people's right to believe that, but they're just like, they're a stronger team than the Warriors. And they're just like, because they're just like, who are they gonna put to stop Giannis? And I'm like, well, who are they gonna put to stop Steph? And I like if people actually have watched those matchups in the past, Drew did nothing to stop Steph. And Drew is one of the best defenders in the league. So
I love him too.
Part of me, if I'm not concerned about, Matisse Thybulle, because
hey, listen, Matisse is a good Nat. Don't sleep on Matisse.
He's great. He's great, but I'm just saying,
this is not hyperbole. This is not hyperbole. He's a top 5 defender in the league.
If he's not, if Drew is not stopping Steph Curry, all I'm saying is that I'm not like, he can be an annoyance. Like that happens. There are players that annoy Steph on the court for a while. They get under his skin, but he's gonna figure it out, So I'm just
I feel you.
That's all I mean. It's not to disrespect him. I like the Sixers and I want you guys to succeed. So not against my team, but I like the Sixers as a team. So I want you guys to get that Ben Simmons situation figured out. So we talked a little bit about Steph and like the matchup that's coming up, but like if Embiid is not back, and it sounds like you guys are saying that he's not going to be back. One thing though, I discussed this on the last episode of All Nat. I kind of feel like not enough attention is being paid to the after effects of COVID on some of these players. I feel like it's an underrated thing that isn't being discussed, because even Draymond Green last year, he dealt with lingering effects of COVID for a very long time. And, he got out on the court, but he really wasn't his best. And fans were getting at him, but there were really some lingering effects. I want to say it was a few games ago, Tatum was still using an inhaler. And this is a year later, right? And these are supposed to be some of the best, well-conditioned athletes, people in the world. And yes, they're alive, thankfully, to live and talk about it another day, but they are having health problems from COVID. Yeah. So a player like Embiid, who we know actually is not always in the best condition, like, is there any concern about the lingering impacts? Because I feel like we're not talking about it at all, but like it could be a very real thing. And I don't want that for him, but it's a little concerning to me that it's been 10 days and you guys haven't heard any signs of him coming back.
I mean, how oxygen's important. Oh my gosh, he can't breathe, it's bad. I honestly think it's bad. Like if there's no news, that's bad news, right? And we can only hope that they're really just using this as a workaround to sit him and rest him. Like literally, I'm like, we need to stay 500. Like we're not gonna have him until maybe Christmas. Really, like seriously, I'm thinking Christmas maybe if we're lucky, because when you look at the after effect as you described, Draymond, imagine adding 5 inches and 60 pounds. It's something that fans don't talk about, and they need to understand. Like it's going to affect the Sixers season for the rest of the year. And have I used it to discount them in the playoffs? Absolutely. Like I thought they were going to be a top 3 seed in the beginning of the season. Even if he comes back, I no longer think we'll be a top 3 because I think they're going to have to do even more load management and rest, right? So we're looking now at 4 to 6, I think, and that's if we stay 500. If we continue this slide like we're in the 1 and 6 in the last 7, it's not going to be nice. Like it really isn't.
Do you guys see some games on the schedule you can steal?
Every game's a 50-50 right now.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, like the thing is for us, and I'm just kind of like taking a little quick look here. We've been competitive, so that's like the frustrating thing.
Right.
Is it's like we're not getting like necessarily blown out of the games or anything like that. We actually have the Kings tomorrow. I could potentially see that. We got the Timberwolves coming up, the Magic. Games like that, I can see us maybe escaping with a win. We do have, obviously, I don't see us beating the Warriors. We have the Celtics, the Hawks. I don't see us beating in the Jazz coming up. I don't know. I don't see us beating those type of teams. So it scares me because, like you're saying, Chris, when we talked about before, we're 1 and 6. But also without Embiid so far, but also Nat, like you were saying, with the after effects of COVID. Yeah, Jason Tatum, he didn't use an inhaler his entire life,
Right.
like, and now he has to use one. And I would say too, because I'm big on the after effects as well, because unfortunately earlier this year I had COVID, and I'm a runner. Like I run a good amount, and it really affected me. Like I was. There was one point where I would be like, okay, I can run 4 or 5 miles easily. Like, I'm out. Let's go. Right. And then now, later on, it's like I can maybe get like 2 or 3, and then I start feeling it a little bit different. Like, and I think that was kind of closer to when I first got out of it. I think I'm a little bit better now, but I was sluggish for a while. I felt tired. I was waking up differently. And that probably happened for at least a month and a half after I had COVID and it was gone. So, and I'm not a world-class athlete, I'm just saying I like to jog for fun. But these guys are obviously are professional athletes. They're in the NBA. Embiid, like you said, has not been known for his conditioning. There was points before him a couple of years ago where he was eating Chick-fil-A before the games on the table with the trainers. That was bad.
Shout out to Chick-fil-A though, because it's elite.
Oh yeah. Chick-fil-A. I had Chick-fil-A last night. Listen, I don't got nothing against it.
But we're good. No, I can't.
No, let's not go there, Chris. Let's keep going.
All right, Chris, we won't do it. But he don't even like French fries. So I don't know, Chris. But but yeah, so that is definitely a concern. Now, Chris, it scared me a little bit, man, saying Christmas. I'm like, woo, I'm not anticipating that. I'm hoping that he's not out for that long. But if he was, now that you said it, I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't be shocked. But hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll see what happens. And maybe we can get a report soon on what's going on. I feel like I haven't seen the reports. So unfortunately now I can't really give you a super detailed perspective on when he'll be back, or we haven't really heard anything, So
well, John, first of all, let me say I'm glad you're feeling better, and I hope you get back to like your 4 or 5 miles, like back there. But I'm glad you're feeling better. Selfishly, I want him to come back because I'm going to that game in Philly. So I would like Embiid.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Cool. I'd like him to be on the court. But all right. So outside of Seth Curry has been playing well. He's probably going to step up for the game against his brother because they always do. So you have a chance at that probably being a competitive game. Like you said, you guys have been in like competitive games. It is a home game for the Warriors. And I guess you'd expect that role players play better at home than on the road. So far, that's what I've seen with the Warriors. Like their shooting hasn't been great in the past couple of games. You know, John, you watch the Warriors. Chris, I know you watch a lot of games too, but you had to see like Steph's heroics the other day versus the Cavs, you know, to get them back. The shooting hasn't been there, you know, like with the rest of the bench, you know, like obviously Jordan Poole stepped up in the Detroit game. Wiggins has been consistent, but the rest of those guys who we've been relying on to shoot, it's been a little, you know, and I'm trying to see like, is this going to be like a road thing, home thing, or, you know, I'm watching, it's still a little early in the season to see patterns, but I think they're going to be at home. So the role guys will probably be shooting better, but, you know, especially if the Sixers don't win tonight before they play us, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be itching for a win. Teams always step up to play the Warriors. Seth likes to try to outduel his brother. So
that's a good point with Seth.
Just with those underlying storylines, we're not going to have, you guys aren't going to have Embiid back. You've talked about possibly putting Tybull on Steph. What other things do you think? What are the other keys to the game possibly for the Sixers to try to pull this out? What do you think gives them the best chance in this matchup, knowing the pieces that Golden State has?
I would say a couple of things I'm looking for in this particular matchup for us to have a chance. I would say I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I think right now Maxi's our hottest scorer, our most consistent scorer, and the guy who can, for me, isolate and be able to create on his own. And I want to see him do that early in the game. I do think another key matchup, and this isn't even just scoring, this is rebounding wise. I want to see Tobias stay aggressive rebounding. I want him to get those important rebounds. I want him to get some offensive rebounds because he's a solid rebounder, and Draymond is as well, obviously. So I want to kind of see him outdo Draymond as far as rebounding to give us a couple more possessions, kind of keep the ball away. You know, you hear that with quarterbacks in the NFL, keep the ball away from Brady, kind of keep the ball away from Steph a couple more times.
How are you guys as a rebounding team this year? Because you have, what's his name? The other center.
Drummond?
Yeah.
Drummond's a good rebounder. Tobias is a really good rebounder. I don't know, Chris. Outside of
that's it.
That's it.
Honestly, no one's really super consistent rebounding on our team.
Do you know where you guys rank this year? I'm only asking because the Warriors, shockingly, have collectively been a good rebounding team, even though we don't really have like one single guy. So I was curious about the Sixers.
I don't have the numbers. I know that once Embiid went out, we plummeted.
Okay.
Like Drummond had he had a 20 and a 13 or a 20 and a 15 game, but then he comes back and gives you 6. So like he'll average back down to 13 or 15 like he always does. But when Tobias Harris is your second best rebounder, you're in trouble. It's that simple in terms of rebounding.
Yeah.
Like they don't even really do a great job, I think, in terms of team rebounding. Because I think they're always trying to leak out for transition. At least that's how I see it. Like Korkmaz needs to get in there if he's on the floor to try to at least box somebody out.
Korkmaz, bro. Oh,
how is the defense right now?
You know what? Doc runs a very simple defensive scheme, so everybody can play. They're competitive defensively. Their issue is when they come up against, a player that's better. They just can't match up. And unfortunately, I see a lot of that, come Wednesday. In fact, actually, I only see 4 wins in the next 15 games, by the way. And yeah, it's not looking great. So yeah, team rebounding. If we can go that, we out rebound by 10. we have a shot to win. We have a good shot to win if we out-rebound the Warriors by 10. Because that usually means we're probably getting an additional 8 points, right, on second chance points. So that's the only way.
The Warriors can be a high turnover team. So how do you see that impacting the Sixers? Are they good in transition? Do they have the ability to capitalize on those turnovers?
I would say, depending on what lineups on the floor. So, like, I've seen that when we get Shake out there, he likes to run. Him and Tyreese like to run. Sometimes they play them together, and they'll get out in transition. Korkmaz, I mean, he's one of those guys that you like in theory, you would like to have out there in transition because he likes to run and gun. But this guy, I think what he's been doing, and I've been watching him, is he's kind of like he needs to take some time to develop into the player he thinks he is right now, if that makes any sense. Like he's taking shots that I can see him developing into, but he's just not there yet. Like he's taking pull-up threes from 35. He's trying to drive and throw up floaters and
his decision making isn't great.
Yeah, his decision making on offense is just frustrating. Right now, I think he's still a spot up shooter. And I've actually seen what's his name? I forget. Why am I messing up his name? Korkmaz. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. Korkmaz, I've actually seen him be a decent rebounder. I would like for him to focus on that and then just be a spot up shooter. And I think he can help us in transition. Because like you said, the Warriors are a team that will turn the ball over. So I think that gives us a chance. But
can they force turnovers, the Sixers? I mean, because Ben isn't out there anymore. So can they force turnovers? Can they get some deflections?
Yeah. We're 20th, by the way, in transition. 20th.
Okay.
Minnesota's better. Orlando's better. The Utah Jazz are better in transition. And I agree with John. Like, I want Korkmaz to just get a rebound and stand in the corner. He doesn't need to throw 30 to 35 footers. He doesn't need to try a floater. All he needs to do is be, the offensive version of Bruce Bowen, right? Get a rebound, run to the corner, stand there. Don't do anything else. In terms of getting those turnovers, yeah, they can get an extra 2 or 3. If Matisse is healthy, he's good for that. They have a good, sound defensive scheme. But unfortunately, they're not going to have an answer for Draymond. Yeah. So if I just don't see it. They would need to get +6 steals, and I just don't see that happening.
So Danny Green is not a fan. Like I know, John, you're not a fan of him, but like Warriors fans hate him. I will never talk badly about Danny Green because he's from around the way. So I'm going to always show him love. But it does seem maybe that his time is coming to an end in the NBA. He may have reached that point. But obviously because of what happened with Clay, even though Clay himself and Dre said they didn't think it was a dirty play, Warriors fans blame him for inevitably causing the beginning of Clay's 2-year hiatus. So they do not like him. They will hate him and will not show him any love in the building. So I think I think it'll be an interesting game. So really quickly, I just like to do predictions. So it sounds like both of you don't think that they will win, but there's a long shot, and you've listed out maybe some of the ways they can do that. Out rebounding the Dubs. Out rebounding the Dubs was really what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, out rebounding, and then if we can, like, you allude to it a little bit, maybe get some steals, put some pressure on some of your role players. I would say, just to kind of get into a little bit from the Warriors standpoint. Now, Steph's going to be Steph. Andrew Wiggins has been very consistent. There's some factors here that maybe we can stay in it if there's a guy like Jordan Poole's having an off night. Jordan Poole's, like, for me, from what I've seen, is he's up and down. He might have two or three games that are good, and then he'll give you 8, randomly. And
So I think with Jordan Poole, I don't think there's very many games where he's bad the whole games. I think when you have the inconsistency, it's like you get a half out of him or like a quarter here and there. And I think that's actually because he's playing starter minutes. And what I mean by that is like Jordan Poole does need the ball in his hand, but when you're playing with Steph and Dre already, he's not going to get that. So they're using him more like a Clay, right? And I think when he is in the second unit, and like in that Detroit game, yes, I know it was Detroit, but he was the guy for the night. You saw a much better player. So I think when he's the sixth man fully, he has the second unit to himself. I think you're going to see a lot more consistency from him. That's what I think.
Sure. I like Jordan Poole a lot. I think he's a good player. I'm not trying to put him down at all. I'm just trying to think of ways that if this happens,
I didn't think you were.
We could, maybe we have a chance, but we'll see. I'll let you get to your question you're going to ask.
No, yeah, I was just trying to explain some of what I think his inconsistency is about. And I think you've also noticed since like Andre Iguodala came out and made those comments, you've seen him attack a little bit more, put more pressure on the rim, try to, get some free throws. So his decision-making closing out games and in some other parts of the game are still questionable, but I also think he'll play better at home. So yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what the answer is for you guys. This is why I have you here to tell me, since you know your team's better. But I appreciate all the knowledge that you guys both brought to the show today. What is your prediction then overall for the Sixers? I mean, you talked about possibly not having Embiid back till December, Chris. We don't think that Ben Simmons is stepping on the court again. And also he may not be getting traded this year. Again, we're just doing our best educated guesses here. But if all those things are true and they're on this skid right now, do you see them still making the playoffs? Are they a play-in team? What is now your prediction for them on the season?
I still have them in the playoffs. I don't think they'll fall out of the playoffs. The reason why I say December, just look at what Jason Tatum went through last year, right? Like, I mean, look at Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat did. Like, they're gonna miss 2-3 weeks, and we're only on 10 days. Then you factor in Thanksgiving, so you're already looking at now what, December 10th. Well, he's not a type of player who's just going to be able to walk in and just go. Like, he's going to need to do some conditioning. So what are you going to do? You're not going to put him out there until he's closer to 100%. So, I mean, it's conservative. I don't like being conservative. I wish it would be different. The game, I mean, you want a prediction? Like, all I hear is pain from Clubber Lang right now. Like, that's all I hear in terms of prediction. I'm thinking it's as bad as the Jazz game. 120, 85, maybe 90.
Wow.
I think because it's well, remember, it's a late game. It's in Golden State. They're short on players. They're coming off of, a 1-6 or soon to be maybe 1-7 slide. And they're traveling. And it's not like they're going to want to get home. They're not going to really care, I think, if they get down early, big, if they get down big early.
Right.
And I think Doc is going to throw in the young guys. And he's going to say, we're going to get back home. And I think that's what I see.
Okay. Yeah. But for the season, you still think they'll be a playoff team. Will you guys have any All-Stars this year?
I mean,
you think
Embiid
will still...
Yeah, Embiid.
Embiid.
I'm just wondering if he's going to miss enough time that it'll affect All-Star, possibly All-NBA, but...
Maxi, I'll put Maxi up there. If Maxi continues to play, not in terms of the All-Star, he'll be in the rookie sophomore skills challenge, right? I think that's it. It's Embiid and nobody else.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say, depending on how long Embiid's out, I still see us possibly getting maybe the 6th seed because, right now, looking at where we are, I think we're 10th right now. We don't know how long Embiid's going to be out. I'm hoping maybe within the next couple of weeks we might see him back and on the court. I'm praying for it. And if so, I think we'll be right back in the mix. I can see if it's that fast, I can see us being a top 5 seed. I think Embiid's such a huge difference maker. We're such a different team with Embiid on the floor.
Right.
I would even like our chances to beat Golden State in this game if Embiid was playing. But obviously he's not playing. So for the prediction for the game, I got the Warriors winning probably by 12 to 15 points. Depending on how
you guys are giving me scores. I didn't even want all that. Look at y'all.
No, I mean, I hate to say it. I really do. I want to represent. I want to be like, yo, we're going to get them. But I got to be realistic. Now, if you want me to be subjective, yeah, Philly, let's go. Like, we got this. Tyreese Maxi dropping 40. Let's do it.
Yo,
and what do you guys think about the?
He's going to have a throwback game. He's going to put up 18 points.
He don't need to do that
dropping
that
a solid 12 points on you. It's going to be crazy.
And I mean, I know Chris's view on the Warriors, I mean, for the most part for the season, but I also know you think a team like the Lakers can still be like in it at the end. So, I mean, on the season, like not specifically the Sixers, but as a whole NBA, who do you guys think are going to end up there? Like, who's going to be in the finals? Who's coming out the East and West? Yeah. And who's getting that MVP?
Oh, MVP is going to be hard.
Just let me know what you think now.
Golden State is gonna probably come out the West. They'll beat the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
So you think it's gonna be those two teams in the Western Conference Finals, not the Suns?
Oh yeah. The demise of the Lakers is not happening. Like they're gonna get it together, and I think when you get into a 7-game series in the playoffs, it's a completely different game. And in the West, Golden State can beat them, but I don't see Phoenix or Utah really beating a healthy Lakers squad. In the East, it's a problem. If Kyrie comes back, Brooklyn without a doubt. If Kyrie doesn't come back, I'm probably still rolling with Milwaukee as the league favorite once we get into the playoffs again.
You don't think Milwaukee could be a fully stocked Nets? If Kyrie's there? No.
Okay. They lost the most important player to that championship squad in PJ Tucker. And without a PJ Tucker type player, I mean, you're going to be relying on Bobby Portis. Just I love Bobby. Bobby loves Bobby. He'll tell you that. But PJ
so
Tucker
either Warriors versus Bucks or Warriors versus Nets would be your prediction.
Yep. Dark horse team, Miami.
Okay.
That's the dark horse team.
Yeah.
John.
I chose the Warriors before the season started. I saw their pickups in the offseason. I saw they got smarter players. You got Andre back, you got Bielitsa, you got Otto Porter. And these are guys, when you have Steph Curry and you got guys that play smart basketball and know their role and can complement stuff, and can play within the system, which is Steph's the system, you're probably going to the championship. I mean, and you
turn
got
that
Klay
up, John.
back.
Turn that up. Turn that
Listen,
up. Turn that up. This is my jam.
I'm a James Wiseman guy. I like James Wiseman for you guys. I like his height. I like what he can do off the pick and roll. I like that he can stretch the floor. He can shoot threes here and there. He's a good player to me. Klay Thompson.
What do you think on the development of Kuminga? That's been a bright
spot. Jonathan Kuminga is already a good defender. I like when he's aggressive and he goes and he drives to the rim. I like Kuminga. And, I think Moody, another rookie, I think he's going to need some more time to really get into his own. But he's shown some flashes here and there. But I got the Warriors. Regular season MVP, Steph Curry. Finals MVP, Steph Curry. I'm just keeping it real. And
I'm all smiles for people who can't see me.
I like a healthy Heat team. I like Miami Heat healthy. Oladipo coming back, being healthy. I like them going to the finals.
Do we think Oladipo still has something left?
For that team, yeah, because I think he's gonna have a smaller role, and he's gonna be able to be a role player and kind of let the game come to him more with that team. I like that team a lot. I think they're well-rounded. I think they play great defense. And Tyler Hero, he's on my fantasy team. Shout out to Tyler Hero. My man's balling out of control right now.
What about Kyle Lowry? He's been like sort of inconsistent.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry is inconsistent, but what I like about Kyle Lowry is he's one of those players who is just annoying. He's a pest. He can get your opposite guard in foul trouble. He's been in these moments, these big, obviously he's won a championship. He's shown up in the playoffs. He's a veteran. I like Kyle Lowry, and obviously I love Jimmy Buckets. Wish he was still in the Sixers, but yeah, I got the Heat coming out of the East. I really do. But I got the Warriors winning, man. I think Steph Curry is the best player in the world. When they play the Heat, they don't got nothing for that guy, man. He's probably
so you both
32.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say he's probably averaging at least 32 in the finals. And you know what? Listen, as much as we all hate, we all like Steph Curry. I think Chris is a Curry fan. We've heard, the only thing they have on this guy, and they think they have on this guy, is Finals MVP. He's done so much in the league, and all anyone can ever say, he doesn't have Finals MVP. He doesn't have Listen, Steph Curry knows that. I know he knows that. This guy is an assassin on the court. This guy is competitive. He doesn't get enough credit for that. He needs to be put in the realm of like a Michael Jordan and a Kobe as far as being an assassin on the court. This guy is super highly competitive. And when he gets there, and that's why he did that to the Nets. He knew what the narratives were. When he goes to the finals this year, I promise you, this guy is going to be gunning for Finals MVP. And when he gets it, there's nothing anybody can say. I can't wait. I cannot wait for it because there's got to be nothing anyone can say on this guy. Anyway, I'm done my rant.
So you both have the Heat. I mean, you have the Heat, like if healthy, and Chris is your dark horse candidate. Okay, so good stuff. Chris, were you about to say something before I close?
Yeah, I love watching Steph Curry. Shout out to the Golden State Warriors fans. Enjoy the season. It's going to be a good one.
I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
One other thing I want to say, guys. One other thing I want to say is, sooner or later, guys, y'all gotta let me speak in on the spaces. You know what I mean? I know.
Have you ever requested to come up? I don't control it.
I know, but I'm just saying. I see you guys in there all the time. I want to talk at least a couple times. I would love
just
to
request.
Speak to you guys, man. I enjoy them. I love them a lot. So
just request.
Yeah. And
Urkel will let you up. Just hit the request button. He'll let you up.
But yeah, it's been great, guys. It's been great. I'm glad. One other thing. I'm so sorry. I got Utah going to the Western Conference Finals against, depending on how the seeding works out, but I think Utah is better than the Lakers, and I got them going farther in the playoffs.
No respect for the Suns from either of you.
It's a great story. They're a great team. But Robert Sarver, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a great story.
That's it.
I got
wow. Okay. Wow. Sixers is coming up in another week for us. So yeah. Okay. That's great. That was great, Chris. Yeah, no, John, if you ever want to come up and you're having trouble getting up, just like message me and let me know. But you can definitely come up and join on the spaces. Your voice would be welcome. Listen, guys, follow Hoop Spaces. You need his content. Follow John. Follow John and follow Sunday is for Basketball. They're a growing platform. They have content coming out regularly. It's good basketball content. You just heard John, so you know what you're getting. Follow them. Make yourselves smarter. I like to bring people on the show who are going to make you smarter. I like to introduce you to new content. Follow these guys, support content creators. We're out here hustling. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being on the show and blessing me today with all your knowledge. I hope you guys have a happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate. Listen, guys, All That is available on basically all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Google. Go check it out. You can watch it on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast on your streaming platforms, download the podcast. I know that these seem like basic things. You might get tired of hearing them, but they help me. They help someone like John we're content creators. It helps us. So just do those things. Please leave a rating, leave a comment, leave a review, give us feedback. We welcome that. We love the support. Thank you for listening. Until next time, everyone, take care.
Thanks so much, Nat.
Thank you. Thank you
Peace out,
both.
everybody.